On the open savanna, confidence alone does not guarantee success. Hyenas often move forward relying on momentum earned from earlier encounters. Yet when conditions shift, those familiar advantages can turn into sudden vulnerabilities. The confrontations that follow reveal how, in the wild, misreading an opponent can quickly place survival at risk. Hyenas are known for their unmistakable confidence in every movement. An adult can weigh up to 140 pounds, with jaws strong enough to handle tough food sources. Their familiar experiences on the savanna have reinforced their habit of moving forward instead of waiting. But nature rarely maintains a steady rhythm. When circumstances change, that sense of certainty begins to fade. Space becomes more cramped, the silence lengthens. An individual approaches too closely, not out of urgent need, but because they haven't yet recognized the change. The opponent remains calm. The steadiness, coupled with its superior size of over 1,500 pounds, gradually creates an invisible pressure. At this point, the hyena clearly senses the pace is no longer under its control. It quietly moves away. The confrontation ends silently. The hyena keeps its distance, adjusting to a safer position. That's not a sign of weakness, but a necessary decision. In nature, long-term survival belongs to those who recognize when to stop. Cheetahs are notable for their speed and precise control of movement. Their slender, lightweight bodies allow them to complete a hunting process quickly, minimizing the risk of prolonged confrontations. On the savanna, cheetahs typically avoid lengthy confrontations, prioritizing energy conservation and safety. After successfully approaching an antelope, the cheetah pauses to regulate its breathing. The lingering scent in the air quickly attracts the attention of an approaching hyena. The initial stillness turns into alertness. The distance between the two species gradually narrows. The hyena begins to apply pressure, circling around to find an opportunity to approach. The cheetah maintains its position, reacting quickly to maintain a safe distance. Its decisive movements force the hyena to slow down and consider its next move. However, the cheetah does not try to hold onto its food source. Ultimately, it proactively left the area in a safer direction. The hyena did not gain a clear advantage. The outcome was not determined by direct strength. On the savanna, the cheetah prioritizes survival over any short-term gain. Honey badgers are small but renowned for their tenacity and strong self-defense capabilities. Their low, sturdy bodies and thick skin allow them to withstand pressure much better than many other species. On the savanna, honey badgers often rely not on speed or numbers, but on ferocity. When surrounded by a pack of hyenas, the honey badger doesn't try to run away. It constantly shifts, maintaining a central position and reacting immediately to any individual that gets too close. These decisive actions force the hyenas to keep their distance. prolonged confrontation doesn't give the hyenas an advantage. The risk increases with each approach. Eventually, the hyena pack gives up and retreats. The encounter ends with the hyenas at a disadvantage. The honey badger stays, not because it has absolute dominance, but because it's not an easy target. On the savannah, the honey badger is a high-risk opponent, not worth the risk.
Approaching. Coming in.
Crocodiles are the silent rulers of the savannah rivers. Their low, sturdy bodies are almost immobile when lying close to the water's edge. In their environment, crocodiles don't need to move much to gain an advantage. Initially, the riverbank scene remains familiarly tranquil. A hyena approaches the water's edge, drawn to the scent of food and the seemingly safe surface. Just below the murky water, a crocodile is waiting, and a moment of carelessness instantly shifts the balance.
Coming in.
In the aquatic environment, the balance changes immediately. The crocodile completely controls the space, while the hyena loses its ability to react. There is no escape to regain the initiative. The confrontation ends quickly. The hyena cannot overcome its opponent's environmental advantage. The outcome is clear. Among predators, habitat is often the deciding factor in who wins and who loses. African elephants are the largest living creatures on the savannah. An adult can weigh thousands of pounds, their size and strength creating an overwhelming presence. But what truly keeps elephants safe isn't just their massive size, but their close-knit herd structure. A pack of hyenas doesn't target adult elephants. They target the calf at the edge of the formation with clearly defined roles: chase, block, and disrupt. Their rapid movements are aimed at putting pressure on the herd and forcing it to separate. The elephant's reaction is immediate. The adults quickly form a defensive barrier, surrounding the calf. When the mother elephant turns around, her roar is powerful enough to change the course of events. The approach ends in moments. The hyenas disperse and retreat. The outcome is undeniable. On the savannah, the cohesion of the elephant herd is the ultimate survival barrier. African warthogs don't possess overwhelming size, but they are rarely easy opponents to subdue. A mature individual typically weighs between 220 and 330 pounds, is low-slung, sturdy, and maintains a stable center of gravity. On the savannah, their survival depends on quick reflexes and close-range self-defense. A pack of hyenas approached a slow-moving warthog, quickly splitting their formation to apply pressure. They harassed from multiple directions, patiently wearing down their opponent over time. But each time the distance narrowed, the warthog's aggressive reaction and the cramped terrain forced the hyenas to retreat. The approach gradually lost momentum. The warthog maintained a steady pace and retreated in an orderly fashion. The hyenas moved further back, maintaining a safe distance. In nature, not every effort yields results. Sometimes, knowing when to stop is the best way to avoid unnecessary losses. Lions have long held a central position of power on the savanna. A mature individual can weigh over 400 pounds, with a body built for stability, endurance, and positional awareness. Even standing still, its presence is enough to slow the pace of movement around it. A hyena advances, accustomed to challenging familiar opponents. It moves around the perimeter, constantly changing direction, seeking a subtle reaction. Its rapid pace and agility have given it an advantage in many situations before. In a brief moment, the hyena suddenly lunges forward. It's not a decisive move, but merely a test of reflexes intended to force the lion to react. But this time, every movement creates no opening. The lion remains in its position, center of gravity low, gaze fixed. There is no hasty reaction, nor any sign of wavering. The prolonged calm caused the hyena to gradually slow down. The test ended in silence. The hyena retreated, maintaining a safe distance. The lion neither pursued nor changed its position. On the savanna, survival belongs to those who understand their limits and know when to stop. African wild dogs are a species that relies on discipline and close coordination for survival. Each individual weighs only about 40 to 70 pounds, but they always move as part of a unified group. On the savanna, their effectiveness comes from speed, numbers, and the ability to act simultaneously. In a seemingly stable moment, a group of hyenas remains around the remaining food. They maintain a slow, unhurried pace until the silhouette of a pack of wild dogs appears at the edge of the area. From there, the calm quickly gives way to tension as the wild dog formation begins to expand and close in. When a hyena breaks away from its original position, the pack of wild dogs immediately acts. They use speed and pack tactics to continuously apply pressure from multiple directions. The relentless close-range attacks force the hyena to retreat from its advantageous position. The initiative quickly shifts to the wild dogs. The confrontation ended with the hyenas at a disadvantage. The pack of wild dogs controlled the area briefly before moving on. This outcome wasn't solely due to collective strength. On the savanna, timing is sometimes just as important as brute force. On the African savanna, every encounter unfolds in a very different way, depending on the time, terrain, and the state of each species. There is no preset scenario for predator or prey, only instinct and reactions triggered in a fleeting moment. For hyenas, each situation is a continuous test, where they observe, approach, and wait for the opportune moment to act. Leopards are solitary, agile predators that rely heavily on surprise. An adult typically weighs between 90 and 140 pounds, enough to take down prey larger than itself. The leopard's advantage lies in its ability to quickly gain control of space. As the leopard settles near its food source, two hyenas appear at the edge of the area. They don't immediately approach, but move slowly, gradually closing the distance. The pressure increases with each movement, forcing the leopard to move away from the center to avoid a direct confrontation.
He doesn't see it.
The leopard doesn't leave completely. It maintains its distance and observes, waiting for the hyenas to lose focus. However, in reality, hyenas have the upper hand in about 70% of prey fights with leopards. Each time the leopard attempted to get closer again, the hyenas reacted immediately, quickly ending the attempt. The tension persisted, but the situation remained unchanged. The hyenas continued to maintain control of the area thanks to their numbers and ability to sustain constant pressure. In these kinds of prey fights, the advantage belongs to the species that can stay present longer and react more quickly. African wild dogs are pack-hunting predators, small in stature but with great stamina. An adult typically weighs between 55 and 70 pounds, giving them no advantage in a direct confrontation. Their effectiveness depends on speed and continuous coordination. After securing their share of the prey from the leopard, the pack of wild dogs hadn't even settled into position when two hyenas appeared. They quickly closed in, forcing the wild dogs to retreat from the center of the food source. One hyena maintained distance to control its reaction, while the other focused on consuming the prey. As other hyenas arrived, competition erupted within the pack itself, revealing a clear social hierarchy. The wild dogs repeatedly tried to approach, but were unsuccessful. Faced with the hyena's incredibly strong jaws, capable of handling even hard bones, the pack of wild dogs was forced to retreat. The struggle ended quickly, demonstrating the hyena's clear advantage in such prey-stealing situations. Honey badgers are small, solitary animals that often move close to the ground. Their thick, tough skin and agile bodies help them withstand external pressure. From the outset, honey badgers don't seek to display strength, but rely on endurance and self-preservation. When several hyenas appear and form a circle, the tension increases with each movement. The honey badger remains in place, constantly turning to face the nearest threat, blocking all approaches. These attempts to get closer yield no clear results, and the hyena's advantage begins to diminish. The confrontation continues in silence before finally ending. The hyenas spread out and retreated, abandoning their ineffective attempt. The honey badger remained in the area, and the situation concluded in a familiar way. Becoming an unappealing target is sometimes the safest path to survival. Lions are large cats with superior strength, heavy bodies, and quick reflexes. A mature male lion can weigh up to 570 pounds, nearly 5 times the weight of a single hyena. Under normal circumstances, its mere presence is enough to keep other species at a safe distance. In the open areas near the edge of the savanna, that advantage is gradually challenged. A lone male lion finds itself surrounded by more than 30 hyenas. The hyenas don't all attack at once, but constantly move around, closing in and retreating in short bursts, maintaining pressure and forcing the lion to remain on high alert for an extended period. The lion stands firm. It rotates with each movement, maintaining a stable defensive posture. When a hyena ventures too close, the reaction is instantaneous. The lion counterattacked briefly, forcing the individual hyena to break free from the encirclement. Other hyenas advanced to support, but lacked the necessary coordination to reverse the situation. Tension gradually eased as the lion began a controlled retreat. It may have suffered physical losses, but it maintained its position and avoided chaos. The encounter ended without absolute dominance. In nature, numbers alone do not guarantee success without decisive coordination and a willingness to take risks. Zebras are large, strong herbivores that rely on speed to maintain a safe distance. A mature individual can weigh over 700 pounds and is only truly safe when it can maintain a steady pace. When that ability is disrupted, the balance quickly shifts. A hind leg injury significantly slows the zebra. Its rhythm is broken, and the hyenas begin approaching from multiple directions, alternating between closing in and maintaining distance to maintain pressure. As more individuals arrive, the safe space shrinks, and the zebra's ability to defend itself diminishes moment by moment. The attack ends quickly. The zebra is no longer able to escape the pressure, and the hyenas gain a clear advantage. In the wild, when prey loses its ability to move, hyenas' persistence and collective pressure make them particularly effective. Cheetahs are renowned predatory cats, known for their speed, slender build, and quick attack tactics. An adult female typically weighs between 75 and 120 pounds and relies heavily on open space to avoid conflict. When a cub is nearby, the cheetah's priorities shift. Immediately after the cheetah has subdued its prey, a hyena appears from behind and approaches. Under normal circumstances, the cheetah would choose to leave to avoid risk. However, this time the cub is right behind, leaving no room for retreat. The mother cheetah proactively advances, maintaining a short distance and applying direct pressure. This aggressive reaction slows the hyena down and then stops completely. After only a few moments, the hyena is forced to retreat from the area. The confrontation ended quickly. The hyena gained no advantage, and the cheetah kept its cubs safe. In nature, when forced into a protective role, even the weaker species can prevail. Wildebeest are large, herbivorous animals that move in herds and maintain a high level of alertness. A mature female typically weighs over 400 pounds and is capable of reacting very quickly to threats. When a young one appears, the mother wildebeest's entire behavior is focused on protection. The moment a young wildebeest lags behind the herd, the hyena immediately pursues and closes the gap. However, before the pressure escalates, the mother wildebeest turns and heads straight toward the predator. The reaction is swift and decisive, leaving the hyena no chance to continue. The chase ends almost instantly. The hyena retreats to avoid further risk, and the young wildebeest quickly returns to its mother. The herd continues moving as if nothing had happened. The encounter concludes with a clear outcome. The hyena fails, and the mother wildebeest keeps her young. In nature, maternal instinct is one of the strongest responses, powerful enough to force a predator to stop. On the vast savanna, the buffalo herd moves in tight order, each individual maintaining their familiar position. The calf is always positioned in the center of the formation, where the adults can observe and react promptly. The mother buffalo silently follows, acting as a protector when danger arises. When a calf slows down for a moment, the hyena immediately notices and attempts to close in. The distance narrows rapidly, creating clear pressure on the vulnerable calf. At that moment, the mother buffalo turns and charges directly at the predator with a decisive reaction. The sudden change causes the hyena to stop and retreat instantly. The chase ends before it escalates, and the calf quickly returns to the safe formation beside its mother. The situation concludes in silence. The hyena fails to achieve its objective, and the buffalo herd continues its steady rhythm. In nature, a mother's timely response is often enough to end a threat in its inception. In the vast savanna, confrontations occur more in silence than in chaos. The larger species doesn't always prevail. Every movement is a weighing of risk against control. There are moments when a brief reaction is enough to determine the outcome. Most of the time, nature chooses stability over prolonged conflict. Hippopotamuses are typically seen in a tranquil state along riverbanks. Their slow, deliberate appearance conceals a massive body, potentially weighing over 3,000 pounds, formed to control familiar territory. For hippopotamuses, shallow river waters are not just living spaces, but also territory to be protected. The crocodile's approach is not driven by a need for food. It's a purely territorial clash, occurring when a boundary is breached. The crocodile approaches from underwater, choosing its timing rather than a direct confrontation. Hippopotamuses don't calculate risks like predators. Their reaction stems from an instinct to protect their territory and cubs. Their massive bodies turn straight forward, stirring up the water and creating an unfavorable space for the crocodile. The situation changes in a very short time. The crocodile retreated, not because it was weak, but because it escaped at the right moment and wasn't trapped on land. The hippo remained, holding its position on the riverbank. In nature, the survivor isn't always the stronger one, but the one who knows when to leave. African buffalo are not fast movers, but they rarely stray from their herds. A mature individual can weigh over 1,500 pounds with a sturdy build and curved horns well suited for close-range self-defense. On the open savanna, buffalo rely not on speed, but on stable formation and collective reaction. A lone lion approaches the edge of the herd, observing and assessing the situation. This isn't a choice based on sheer strength, but a calculated decision. Buffalo don't scatter in disarray. They maintain their formation, monitoring surrounding movements and reacting almost immediately upon sensing any unusual activity. When the buffalo collectively turn and advance, the balance quickly shifts. Horns are lowered, distances are shortened, and there is no longer safe space for a single individual to approach. Studies have shown that 40 to 60% of lions suffer injuries during unsuccessful approaches to buffalo. These injuries rarely have immediate consequences, but can impair their ability to forage in the long term. The situation resolves quickly. The lion chooses to retreat, not because of a lack of strength, but because it prioritizes long-term safety over continued risk. The buffalo herd remains, its formation stable. On the savanna, buffalo are a target for coordinated strategies, not for individual efforts. African elephants are the largest land animals still in existence. Their mere presence is enough to make the surrounding space feel heavy and slow. But what truly gives them an advantage isn't just size, but composure and the ability to control every movement. As an elephant approaches the riverbank, the crocodile observes from below the surface. The distance gradually narrows in an atmosphere of heightened tension. This isn't a clear-cut predatory situation, but a test of limits as boundaries are crossed.
That little one's got some balls.
The decisive moment never arrives. The elephant maintains its stance, each step disturbing the water's surface and disrupting the crocodile's advantage. The riverside space quickly becomes disadvantageous, forcing the crocodile to abandon its attempt to approach.
They swore all over it.
The confrontation gradually subsides, leaving no noticeable disturbance. The crocodile retreats, avoiding a risk beyond its control. The elephant continues to move, needing no further action to assert its dominance. In nature, stability is sometimes enough to eliminate a threat.
This is National Geographic. Oh my God, baby.
Rhinoceroses are solitary animals with low, sturdy bodies and a direct reaction when approached. They don't move much, but always maintain a defensive posture. On the savanna, rhinos rely on individual strength and stability to maintain order. An elephant approaches, and the conflict isn't about foraging. It's a territorial clash, where two large individuals test each other's limits. The elephant pushes forward with its weight and overwhelming movement, trying to force the other to give way.
This is National Geographic.
Oh my God, baby.
The rhino doesn't panic or retreat. It holds its position, facing straight ahead, rendering any direct pressure ineffective. The standoff quickly makes it clear that neither side is easily subdued. The situation ends when the elephant reduces its pressure and slows down. The approach doesn't offer a clear advantage. The rhino remains standing. In nature, sometimes the stability of an individual is enough to deter a larger competitor. On the savanna, some species don't seek advantage in individual strength. African wild dogs survive through close coordination, where every movement is synchronized with the pack's rhythm. It is the constant speed and pressure that shape how they confront conflict. A hyena approaches, relying on the confidence of its individual strength. Conflict arises from a fundamental difference. One side is individual, the other is collective. The hyena tries to close in, attempting to break the opponent's formation. The wild dogs don't spread out or retreat. They move quickly, constantly changing positions and maintaining a safe distance. The pressure is maintained consistently, preventing the hyena from finding a clear weakness. The situation ends when the hyena falters and retreats. The wild dogs maintain their formation and continue moving. The outcome doesn't come from individual strength. On the savanna, speed and constant pressure are how the collective overcomes a larger opponent.
Here comes another one. Here comes another one.
On the savanna, not every confrontation is decided by size. Honey badgers survive thanks to their heightened vigilance and instantaneous reaction. When a cub is nearby, every movement is focused and decisive. A leopard appears in the area, approaching slowly from a safe distance. Initially, this is just cautious observation, not a decisive move. The leopard assesses the situation according to its familiar principle: low risk and clear control. When the honey badger does not back down and holds its position, the tension begins to escalate. The decisive reaction to protect its cub shifts the initial balance. The level of risk exceeds the limits the leopard accepts. The situation quickly resolves cautiously. The leopard retreats, choosing safety over prolonging the confrontation. The honey badger stays, maintaining a safe space around its cub. In nature, when the risks exceed acceptable limits, giving up is sometimes the right decision. During the dry season, hippos are forced to leave deep water and congregate around remaining river sections. The reduced space makes their presence more conspicuous and controlling. For hippos, the waterfront area is now crucial territory for the entire herd. A group of buffalo approaches the area, and conflict arises not over foraging. This is a territorial dispute where each side tests the limits of the other. The buffalo advance, exerting pressure with their numbers and coordinated movements. The hippos don't engage in a prolonged confrontation. A single threatening charge, accompanied by a decisive movement, is enough to establish order. The message is clear, and the buffalo back down. Tension subsides as order is established. The buffalo retreat, no longer applying pressure. The hippos maintain their position without escalating the tension. In nature, sometimes just one sufficiently forceful action is all that matters for survival. In the wild, not every approach ends in success for the predator. Many recorded moments show prey escaping thanks to reflexes, discipline, and split-second choices. Once an attack is launched, even a small misstep can cause the entire plan to fall apart. The following stories capture incredible moments when prey escapes and the predator is forced to give up. African buffalo are among the largest herbivores on the savanna, often weighing over 1,000 pounds. They move in large herds, maintaining close distances and reacting collectively to any threat. Unlike many other prey species, buffalo rarely scatter when approached. A lion approaches the edge of the herd, looking for a disparity in formation. The familiar strategy is to apply pressure to separate an individual from the group. In the initial moments, tension increases as distance narrows, but the buffalo do not disperse. As soon as the danger becomes apparent, the individuals at the back turn around. The movement is organized, forming a unified mass toward the lion. Support appears almost instantaneously, forcing the predator to reassess the risk. The initiative gradually shifts away from the lion. In such encounters, two survival scenarios usually emerge. When the lions lose coordination or hesitate, the buffaloes escape the danger zone. And when collective pressure is maintained, the predators are forced to retreat. The confrontation ends without a fatal blow. The buffaloes maintain their formation and protect their pack. The lions retreat, realizing the cost outweighs the benefit. This is no ordinary hunt. It is a confrontation of spirit, organization, and collective coordination. Zebras are herbivores weighing between 500 and 900 pounds. Their tall bodies, long legs, and large lungs allow them to move persistently and maintain oxygen levels in stressful situations. When coming down to the riverbank to drink, zebras usually keep a short distance from the herd to be ready to support each other. Hidden beneath the water, the crocodile is in its most advantageous position. The deep water allows it to use a spinning pull, a technique only effective when the prey is completely submerged. The approach is swift, taking advantage of a rare moment of disorientation. The zebra is pulled off balance, but still keeps its upper body above the water. Its large lungs help it maintain oxygen, while its strong legs continuously kick to keep its axis. The successive rotations, rolls, and kicks disrupt the crocodile's attempt at a locking maneuver. In just seconds, the situation changes. The zebra escaped the deep water and returned to shore safely. The crocodile let go, retreating when the opportunity was gone. In nature, survival doesn't come from a direct counterattack, but from disrupting the opponent's finishing move. In the vast open expanse of the savanna, the impala survives through constant vigilance and precise reflexes. Its compact size and agile directional changes allow it to quickly adapt to unexpected surroundings. However, even a slight deviation from its formation can put the impala in grave danger. Leopards don't hunt through prolonged chases. They wait for positional errors when the prey is momentarily disoriented or out of sync. The approach is silent, focusing entirely on the decisive moment. The impala is forced to react almost instantly. A well-timed, precise turn interrupts the leopard's charge. The difference isn't in being faster, but in a perfectly timed reflex within 0.2 seconds. The hunt ends when the element of surprise is gone. The leopard stops, not continuing when the risk exceeds its limit. Impala quickly return to the safe formation of the pack. In nature, a hunt fails not because the hunter is weak, but because the prey reacts at the crucial moment. Hedgehogs are slow-moving animals, but they possess a remarkable defense system. Thousands of hard spines cover their bodies, always ready to spring up at the first sign of danger. This mechanism isn't for show or intimidation, but has evolved to create a real threat to any approaching predator. A young leopard approaches, misjudging its opponent. The approach is quick, based on its familiar habit of closing in. But in a brief moment, the spines spring up, creating a gap that forces the predator to retreat. The discomfort increases upon contact. The spines don't cause panic, but rather a lingering pain, enough to break the leopard's resolve. The leopard backs away, choosing to retreat rather than risk further danger. There is no second approach. The hedgehog slowly moves away from the danger zone, maintaining its defensive posture until it is safe. The young leopard leaves, distancing itself from an opponent whose cost is too high. In nature, specialized defense mechanisms are sometimes sufficient to make a hunt a worthwhile endeavor. Rabbits aren't superior in terms of top speed. Their strength lies in their ability to accelerate very quickly and change direction constantly in tight spaces. From the very first seconds, the rabbit is prepared to disrupt the chase. A dog chases from behind. It's fast and persistent, but must constantly adjust as the rabbit isn't running in a straight line. The swerving, changing direction, and short jumps fragment the chase. The rabbit continues to change its trajectory. Each change of direction forces the predator to expend more energy and lose time adjusting. The distance no longer shortens as initially predicted. The chase gradually ends. The dog slows down as the advantage is no longer clear. The rabbit disappears into familiar terrain. In nature, intelligent movement is often more important than pure speed. On the vast savanna, wildebeest don't seek advantage from bursts of speed. They survive on endurance by maintaining a steady pace over extended periods. Only when the chase is prolonged does the wildebeest's true advantage become apparent. A lion begins to accelerate. In the first 5 to 10 seconds, the powerful burst of speed gives the predator a clear advantage. The distance quickly narrows, the pace building to its highest tension. But that intensity also rapidly depletes the lion's energy under the prolonged heat. When the escape route is blocked, the wildebeest is forced to face the lion head-on. The leap kick to the lion's head is not a random reflex. It's a last-ditch defensive choice when all escape routes are closed. Immediately afterward, the horns point towards the lion's legs, not to finish it off, but enough to break the chase. From that moment, the balance begins to tip. Lions slow down and actively retreat when the risks outweigh the benefits. Wildebeest don't win by sheer strength. They survive by turning the hunt into an option no longer worth continuing. Hares survive in the open air with heightened alertness and lightning-fast reflexes. Their compact bodies and strong hind legs allow them to leap and change direction in an instant. For hares, every movement is aimed at disrupting the approach from above. The eagle observes from above. It calculates the precise trajectory, swooping down in a straight line at high speed. In the first moment, all factors seem locked in. But just before the trajectory closes, the hare changes direction. A mere 0.1 second adjustment is enough to skew the entire calculation. The dive misses its target, and the aerial advantage vanishes. The approach ends quickly. The eagle regains its altitude, not continuing when the opportunity has passed. The hare disappears into the low grass. In nature, sometimes just a perfectly timed change of trajectory is enough to reverse the outcome. On open plains, gazelles are always on the move, ready to pounce. They don't rely on sheer speed, but on their ability to maintain rhythm and change direction at the right moment. For the gazelle, each stride is a decision to avoid falling into the predator's path. The lion isn't outpaced or outstretched. However, the approach distance and timing of the attack change the dynamics. When the charge is launched, the gazelle quickly changes direction and jumps, disrupting the pursuit in an instant. From that moment, the advantage quickly vanishes. The lion stops when it no longer has the precise conditions to continue. The gazelle leaves the danger zone, maintaining a safe distance. On the savannah, hunting is a matter of precision, not just strength.
In the vast Arctic, where ice and wind merge into one, polar bears are symbols of strength and exceptional adaptability. Every action they take, from waiting for prey to confronting their own kind, is carefully calculated to conserve every precious unit of energy. In this harsh world, patience and self-control are the true foundations of power. Polar bears don't hunt by speed, nor by recklessness. They survive through patience, meticulous planning, and perfect adaptation to the icy environment. Weighing up to 1,600 pounds and nearly 10 feet long, polar bears are at the top of the food chain in the Arctic. Every biological characteristic, from their broad paws and thick layer of fat to their insulating white fur, serves one purpose: conserving energy. They don't pounce. They wait. Hours upon hours lying motionless by a seal's snout, only to deliver a single blow if the opportunity arises. But the success rate is less than 15%. That means each attack carries a serious risk of exhaustion. In this frigid land, where hunger and cold are ever-present threats, only those who can control their energy have a chance of survival. Not the strongest, but those who are persistent and know how to wait for the right moment. Guillemots nest on cliffs up to 1,000 feet high, inaccessible to most predators. This strategy keeps them safe from ground threats and ensures their eggs and chicks are completely protected. But at the end of summer, when the ice melts and the food supply in the sea dries up, a polar bear leaves the ice. It looks up at the cliff where hundreds of nests are nestled close together. Climbing there is against the bear's physical constitution. Every step is risky. A single slip could send it plummeting into the abyss. Even so, the bear continues. Slow, deliberate steps, claws scraping against the rock, heavy breathing echoing in the cold wind. It's not looking for large prey, only eggs and chicks, the small but essential energy source for survival. When the bear reached its first nest, a cacophony of cries erupted. The wind blew fiercely, rocks tumbled down, but the bear didn't stop. The climb ended with a few small eggs, but in return, its biological limits were tested. In the Arctic, sometimes the risk isn't driven by predatory instinct, but by the will to survive. Seals are the most valuable source of nutrition for polar bears. They spend most of their time under the ice, only surfacing to breathe through tiny holes. And these breathing holes become the focal point of all hope for survival in the icy wilderness. A mother bear, having just endured a long winter, her back hunched against the ice, breathing slowly, almost motionless. Not because she was weak, but because she was calculating. She wasn't looking for food for herself, but for the small mouths waiting in the snow den. Hours passed, then a slight movement beneath the ice. The bear didn't attack immediately, it waited. When the opportunity arose, the action was swift, precise, and flawless. A seal was pulled from the ice, its thick layer of fat the most valuable part preserved for its cub. The hunt ended in silence. No roars, no chases, only absolute patience and an unmistakable choice. In the Arctic, survival is not for the impatient. It belongs to mothers who know how to wait and who will give the best for their offspring's future. Pack structure. The alpha wolf leads, the cubs follow, and all actions are guided by the collective signal. Despite their discipline and coordination, in the frigid polar regions, the chances of success in hunting are only about 20%. When the wolf pack brought down a caribou, the smell of blood quickly spread on the wind. A polar bear spotted it and approached. It wasn't in a hurry, only moving slowly, each step heavy on the ice. The atmosphere tensed as the wolves realized the presence of the stronger predator. Howling echoed, The wolf pack fanned out to surround the prey, but just seconds later, the bear's weight of over 1,500 pounds and its gaze were enough to force the entire pack to retreat. There was no clash, only a silent withdrawal. Caribou are symbols of resilience in the Arctic. They travel in herds for hundreds of miles, braving snow, ice, and cold winds to find tundra. On land, their speed and coordination allow them to easily evade most predators. First recorded video of a polar bear hunting an adult caribou. But on the water, all advantages disappear. As the ice melts and the caribou herds are forced to swim through narrow channels, they become vulnerable. A male bear lurks at the edge of the ice, lowering its body and moving slowly so as not to create waves. Just minutes later, an opportunity arises. A young caribou separates from the herd, swimming more slowly. The bear plunges down, its massive body gliding swiftly through the cold water. Under its weight and precision, the prey has no time to react. The bear dragged the caribou onto the ice, standing there breathing heavily in the frost. The attack ended quickly, cleanly, and quietly. In the Arctic, victory doesn't belong to the faster one, but to the one who understands how to best utilize their environment. Arctic walruses are a species of extraordinary strength in icy regions. An adult can weigh up to 1,400 kilograms, with tusks nearly 90 centimeters long and thick skin that helps withstand impacts and freezing temperatures. When gathered in herds, they form a living fortress where every movement is protected. Polar bears don't choose to attack head-on. They understand that charging into the middle of a walrus herd means defeat. Instead, they move along the edge of the ice, using their breath, footsteps, and gaze to create invisible pressure. The walrus herd begins to stir, alert cries echoing. The bear patiently waits. When a young walrus leaves the center to find a safer spot, a gap appears. The bear accelerated, its heavy but resolute body lunging toward its disoriented prey. The previous stillness shattered, the ice shaking under the weight of the chase. In just seconds, the opportunity was gone. The walrus managed to return to its herd, and the bear stopped, breathing heavily, watching. The attack failed, but it wasn't meaningless. The bear had put the entire herd on alert, forced them to move, and eventually they would leave. In the Arctic, victory isn't just about subduing an opponent, but about forcing them to change positions, opening up another opportunity for tomorrow. Beluga whales are beluga whales that live on the edges of ice floes in the Arctic. They have agile bodies, thick blubber that retains heat, and a highly sensitive sense of underwater movement. When they sense danger, beluga easily change direction to escape. Two young male bears were lurking at the edge of the ice. As soon as they spotted a white figure, both immediately swooped down. But with a single maneuver, the beluga escaped. An older male bear was waiting not far away. It wasn't in a hurry. Choosing a position close to the shore, where the water was shallow and easy to control, it observed the current and waited for the tide to recede. When the time came, a single precise slap brought the beluga back. The result was clear. Not because it was stronger, but because it understood its environment better. The old bear won not by rushing, but by choosing the right moment. In this icy world, calmness is sometimes the most effective strategy. On the cold ice, polar bears not only hunt, but also compete with their own kind to defend their territory. When two adult males face each other, there is no hasty action. Both observe each other, maintaining distance, waiting to see what the other will do next. They stand tall, shoulders tense, a low growl echoing through the cold wind. Their slow, circling movements demonstrate vigilance. Each action is a warning, not a provocation. They understand that even a small injury could ruin the upcoming hunting season. The tension builds. Breathing becomes heavier. Finally, the smaller bear turns away, accepting defeat. The other remains still, continuing to observe until its opponent leaves the area. The confrontation ends without violence. In the Arctic, victory lies not in strength, but in the ability to control the situation and know when to stop.
Across these encounters, the savanna makes one rule clear. No species holds permanent dominance. Confidence may create openings, but when circumstances change, it can just as easily invite error. Strength, speed, or numbers only matter when the setting allows them to matter. In the natural world, lasting survival belongs to those that recognize their limits and act at the right moment.